Hey folks, I'm going to do a quick refresher for you. I'm just going to be doing a line drawing or contour drawing of this camera here. And something I want to remind you of is angle sighting, which I talk about all the time. It's very helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil and hold it out in front of my face. You can move your pencil back and forth like a windshield wiper. You can't move it forward and back, like you can't move it away from you. So it's just windshield wiper in the same plane as the object. Okay, so you're also going to have one eye closed, and I'm going to start here with this edge. And visually, I'm holding this pencil out in front of me, closing one eye, this is key, and lining up the pencil with that edge. Once you get the angle, what you're going to do is you're going to then translate that down to your paper. Okay, and I'll just draw that line. Okay, so once again, if that's, this is hard to do on the video, but I'm figuring it out. Okay, and actually mine was a little bit too steep. If you have trouble getting the angle, you can always use two pencils. So I can have one that I place down and then sort of use as a trace, a way to trace it. So I'm going to do that with pretty much all my edges. You can start to eyeball it too. You don't have to line up every single one. So this edge here, and then I translate that down. And I'm going to do some of these by eye. It's actually easier than trying to do this with the video. And I'm not worrying about these lines are slanting in a little bit. I am not worrying about the curves in the camera. The camera does have some curves. I'm just going with straight lines for now. And you could do that, like, let's say you were drawing a car or something. I would recommend drawing it like this with straight lines first, and then going back and adding and adjusting to make those curves. Okay. We're going to run out of space a little bit here. This is angling up a bit right here. That's angling up a bit, right? And I'm also comparing, I'm noticing where each line, how this edge relates to the next surface, so I know where to stop this line. It's right about halfway up here. Okay, this is angling down here. And coming up. All right. So you're going to continue as you get, after you get all the basic shapes drawn, you can start adding like the details on each of these surfaces, but I'm still going to pay attention to those angles. Make sure that those are accurate. That's what's going to make this look relatively realistic. Noticing the circle here is not a perfect circle. Depending on the angle of it, it's going to be a little bit, this appears a bit longer this way, even though it is actually a perfect circle from this view, it's a bit longer this way. So I'm just going to kind of mark off to give myself a sense of how wide this is going to be and approximately where it's going to be. But it's more of an ellipse. Okay. And then besides that, I have all of these different, I have this, the silver part coming down about here. And I can sort of see all of that first round of the silver part. But then I see less of this, I see just this part. And the black part here, noticing this is angled, and I just see the top here. So you'll continue drawing this, and I'm going to just fast forward to a finished one, which was done at a slightly different angle. And so once you have your drawing, you're welcome to this one. I went back in with just a fine tip micron and traced. If you want to have pen lines, that's fine. After you're done with that, you have this drawing, you're welcome. You can draw multiple objects. You can also utilize tracing paper, which you have done before. You can trace your object, which I've already done here. I've traced it, and then shade the back of it and transfer. So when you're coming up with your final composition, I'd maybe want, maybe I want to overlap these, and I want to have this drawn on top. So I'm going to place that down, and I'm just tracing my lines. Take your time with your tracing. You want to have nice lines. You can see that effectively. I'm going to move this. We don't need this anymore. That effectively transferred onto here. So other things you can do to play with the composition are I can take, I actually photocopied my image and enlarged it. So maybe I want to have a big one. I also shrunk it on the photocopier. So I have these little images which I can cut out, or I could do a tracing paper transfer again, but maybe somehow these will be incorporated into my composition, these little mini cameras. I'm going to show you a finished one because as you recall, this project does have selective color in it. So this example here, you can see most of it, has some collaged color, and then it has tracing paper glued on, so sort of layered on top of the other image. It also has multiple views with this camera. So these are all things that you can do to play with this image once you have the drawing completed. You're welcome also to add watercolor. If you know you're going to add watercolor ahead of time, you might want to do this on a piece of watercolor paper. You're welcome to work with colored pencil to add your color. And we will go over some other techniques of how to add the color, such as you could potentially make sections. So maybe with a ruler, I could, add a slice of pie that goes through here. And then I could add color only in this section, or I could leave this section black and white and add color everywhere else. So that'll be part of the figuring out the composition. We'll be figuring out where do you want your color. All right, I think that should give you enough good place to start.